E3 2016. The time of year when tens of thousands of fans gather in downtown LA to see the greatest innovators in the industry reveal to the world the most exciting games on the planet. Over the next hour, we'll travel around North America and catch up with the greatest minds behind some of the most anticipated games of the year. We've got exclusive sneak peeks, world premieres, and exciting interviews. And it all starts right now. All right, I'm here with Phil Spencer right off stage. Great briefing, Phil, for
Thanks,
Xbox
Jeff.
Nation. Let's talk about some of the highlights. First of all, lots of big games. Gears of War 4, that's your big game for this year?
Yeah, this is actually all up our biggest lineup of games we've ever had. So Gears is a hallmark for that for us. It's been such an important franchise for us in the history of Xbox. To have Rod out here showing the game, showing real gameplay is fantastic.
Some other big highlight games, you talked about Sea of Thieves, you talked about ReCore, brand new Forza, Dead Rising. What are some of the favorites that you have coming up?
You know, your list, the thing I love is you got some new IP, you've got some existing franchises that people like. You know, Sea of Thieves, something that Rare, kind of getting back to doing, I'll say, normal games, getting to show their game on stage. Really a big fan of the studio and the work that they're doing, the creativity. You know, ReCore is a new franchise for us. Got a great reaction last year. We've been a little bit quiet for the year, so E3 is always a great time to kind of unveil and show actually what the game looks like when you have a controller in your hand.
And some cool indie games. Let's talk about Inside, which came back this year at E3, coming out very soon, and you've played it. It's good.
I finished it, yeah. Playdead's one of my all-time favorites, and getting to work with them on this game and see just the level of art and fit and finish they put into games. Not the fastest developer in the world, but when they finish something, I think people this year are gonna have a great time with Inside and really see something special.
Let's talk about some of the other news you had here about Xbox as a platform, as a service. You have something new called Play Anywhere, and you're talking a lot about Xbox and Windows coming together. What does that mean to the gamer?
Yeah, really what we do is we want to put the decision on where people play in the hands of the gamers. It's really about choice. As I said, we've got our biggest lineup of games we've ever had. We're connecting all of those games with Xbox Live. We know that our biggest console players, most of them also play on PC. So we say if you're going to buy your games from us that are available from our store, available on Windows and Xbox, when you buy the game, you should be able to buy it once and play it on both platforms. You shouldn't have to buy 2 copies of the game. You can decide where you want to play. You know, if you're at school and you've got an opportunity to bring up Gears and you want to play, and then at home at night you want to continue from where you were and you pick it up and you play, you should buy 1 copy of the game and you should decide where you want to play.
You guys will obviously lead with that. Do you think all the third parties are going to come on board for that plan too?
The program's available to first and third party. You know, the first reaction you always get from third parties is, well, aren't you giving 2 copies of the game away? When you really look at it, do people buy 2 copies of games to play on both platforms? No. And today's games are more of a service than we've ever seen, and the ability to have your players playing wherever they are is a great thing for our third parties.
All right, let's talk about something you sort of teased a few months ago about where you guys were going with the platform, the idea of iterative upgrades of hardware. Certainly Sony last week said, you know, they're working on a high-end PS4. Tell us about your kind of approach now to Xbox hardware moving forward.
Yeah, it kind of centers on the same thing. It's about choice and letting people play, make decisions on how much they want to spend on their console, the power that they want to get, the hardware that they want to play on, but making sure that the experience you expect as a gamer is with you wherever you are. So your games library is available wherever you are. Your friends are available wherever you're playing. You've got your achievements, you've got your social connection, all of your accessories, your controllers. They work wherever you go. Because, I mean, you and I have been in this industry for a while. Traditional console generations end. You take all your stuff, you put it in a box, you kind of throw it in the closet, you buy a new console, and you start again. And I just think for the developers and for gamers out there, the idea that I can always play the games that I want to play, no matter the power of the Xbox One I have, I think is a real strength.
All right, well, a great briefing, Phil. We look forward to playing the games at E3, and thanks as always for having the show on Spike.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks.
Thanks. Okay, I am up here in lovely Vancouver with Rod Ferguson. Rod, just off stage, you and Laura showed the first campaign demo of Gears of War 4. game looks phenomenal. I had a chance to check it out here at the studio. You guys have been working in secret for a couple of years, and this is your return to Gears of War.
Yes.
But we've got a whole new squad of characters. So for people that remember, Delta Squad, Marcus Phoenix, all that, this game is set like 2 decades after the previous?
Yeah, 25 years.
Yeah.
It's 25 years in the future after Gears of War 3. And you're playing as Marcus's son, JD Phoenix, and his 2 friends, Kate and Dell. And those are who you get to choose between when you play co-op. So it's 2-player co-op, and you can get when you want to play as Kate or play as Dell as a second player.
Swarm just keep coming.
Yeah, and that wind flare is getting worse.
Wow.
The thing I noticed in the demo is that there's a lot happening in the environment. You have it feels like weather is not just a cosmetic thing, but it really impacts the gameplay.
Yeah, the notion of our wind flares, they're a whole system. It's just not a visual. It impacts the world, impacts projectiles, the ragdolls of bodies, how you play, how it destroys cover as you're playing. So it's an actual, in some respects, it's like a boss fight for us as you have to fight through the storm.
Look out! You also had a couple new weapons that people got to preview some of them in the multiplayer beta that you did. But tell us about the 2 big new weapons that you're showcasing at E3.
Yeah, so the new weapons we have right now are the Buzzkill and the Drop Shot, and that was after 25 years apiece. Where are the weapons coming from? And so we had to think about how do we innovate in that space.
Off you go!
Well, the story of the 25 years is really about a story of rebuilding. And so what better than tools? And so we looked at like this sort of concrete saw for the Buzzkill, and this idea of a mining tool for the Drop Shot, and sort of tapped into this sort of tool-based metaphor for the new weapons.
This is not being made by Epic, but you were at Epic.
Right.
What was the twist you wanted to put on Gears when you decided, hey, I want to do another one?
Well, it really, it's kind of funny to say, but the twist was really about going back and staying really, really true to Gears. After 7 years at Epic, I think there was a feeling about like how much more different can we make it? Like, let's keep changing it. And so I really felt like as the Coalition, since we're sort of the new torchbearers of the franchise, we really had to come out and say we can do it right before we do it different.
Who are we up against in this game?
It's a new threat we call the Swarm. By putting it 25 years in the future, we're able to bring the monsters back in an interesting way, but then still have those touchdowns back to the Lancer and those sorts of things that you love.
Marcus's son, JD, how does he fit into the story?
So he's the protagonist, he's the lead, and that's something he's had a sort of a troubled relationship with his father and doesn't quite know where his place is. And that's one of the things that's really interesting about the game is you actually start as an outsider. There's another faction of humans in the world beyond the Coalition called the Outsiders, and those are people who didn't want to kind of get in with the Coalition. They didn't believe in their beliefs. Right. And so you actually start as an outsider. It was because as JD tried to be a cog, tried to be a gear, and it didn't work out. And so he's sort of like, as a young 20-year-old, 25-year-old kid, he's like going, what's my place in the world? Out of the shadow of his father.
Welcome home, James.
Yeah, well, the game looks phenomenal. Good luck finishing it up. Gears of War 4, it'll be playable at E3. People will be checking it out. And, of course, also coming to Windows 10, right?
Yes, yeah. And both when we're doing crossplay, too. Every co-op mode, Horde, Campaign, the co-op versus will all be crossplay between Windows 10 and Xbox One.
Coming up, one man's epic journey from B to Blazinski. Are you still Cliffy B, though?
I'm Clifford now that I'm 41.
Plus, we check out the latest and greatest in indie games at the Independent Evening. All Access at E3 is brought to you by Doritos Mix. 4 snacks in 1. We're back here on Spike's All Access at E3. I'm here with Cliff Bleszinski. You know him from all his work on Unreal and Gears of War. Now he's got his brand new game, Lawbreakers, with some Zero G, right?
Yeah, so it's a PC game.
Yeah.
We were originally considering making it free to play. We decided to not do that, kind of a mid-range price we're looking to announce later on. It's sci-fi set in the future. You have two sides, the organized law enforcement versus the organized gangs, law versus breakers, and they're all breaking the laws of gravity and physics.
So this is something brand new for you. This was ballsy. You left Epic, left Gears of War behind, even though there's lots of Gears of War 4 stuff here at E3.
It looks great. I started the studio
What?
so people would stop tweeting me about chainsaws. And I'm like, come on, man, it's been years now. But really, honestly, like, I had 6 months off, and I really thought I would walk off into the sunset and wander the earth like Kane in Kung Fu. But I really actually got bored, and the ideas just started gestating from reading books like Leviathan Wakes and The Fifth Wave and things like that. And it just kind of all started to come together into my head. I wanted to play with gravity. I want to make a character-based shooter, and I wanted to make something that's not fully colorful, but not fully grimdark. There has to be a halfway point that we're going for with this game. Not the bright colors of Overwatch, but not the darkness of Gears.
This ain't Utopia, mother.
This is a game that is all about online, right? It's not like you're doing a traditional campaign. This is something for you and your friends to jump
this is
in.
a die-hard competitive multiplayer focused shooter. We thought about doing a campaign, and then we realized, where do people spend the majority of their time in a game like this? They spend it online, battling with their friends, hopefully eventually being an esport. I'm always asked that. You never know if that's going to happen.
Gravity is a big focus of this game. Are sort of the weapons and the moves, is that really what you feel like differentiates this from a lot of the other action games out there?
With a game like this, you have an ability on Q, an ability on E. You can blind fire with control to propel yourself through gravity. You have a shift is sometimes run, sometimes it's sprint, sometimes it's a jetpack. You have grappling hooks, you have unique energy weapons, you have all this kind of stuff that feels like taking the things that worked in the old arena shooters, but moving it forward to 2016 for a world that likes characters, and then adding in a big whole heap of just crazy gravityness.
You're right, every character, sort of the keys map to different abilities.
Absolutely,
right?
and that's one of the, actually, the game has a bit of a learning curve because remembering to hit the control button with your pinky to blind fire through zero gravity is kind of a tricky thing to do. And the fact that shift isn't just run.
When I was playing at PAX, it seems like the weapons actually can affect your moveset too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you're not only trying to take out your enemies with the weapons, but using them to propel yourself is kind of a core part of the game. So the zero gravity and the low gravity we have in this game, you can actually kind of push your way through it and kind of fire behind you. You can actually steer. And once in a while, it's very rare where you will get a blind fire kill, especially with the rocket launcher, because somebody's behind you. And it's kind of like, the Ash versus Evil Dead blind fire, just like, ooh, it feels really good. And I'm looking forward to, hopefully, when this game comes out, having YouTube compilations of people who just get blind fire kills over and over again.
Are all the maps sort of, there's zero gravity moments? How does gravity play into this?
So every map that we're going to put out is going to have some sort of gravity anomaly in it.
Okay.
The map Grandview that we're currently talking about has kind of a lunar gravity in the middle where it's kind of low grav. We have all sorts of different types planned for the future.
Yeah.
However, there's also the player's ability to kind of manipulate gravity and physics. When our character of Tosca or Maverick does her slam to the ground starfall, it creates a giant bubble of complete zero G. So you go from kind of, fighting in the ground and maybe hopping over various monuments to all of a sudden everyone's kind of spiraling around Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon style. It's pretty dynamic and crazy.
That's cool. Well, I love that you're doing your own thing, a different style of game, just on PC right now, right?
Yeah, just on PC, and I'll tell you, it feels good to be back in first person.
Your side has scored a point.
One of the cool things about the game industry today is that small independent developers can also come up with ideas, bootstrap them, raise some money on Kickstarter, and build independent games. And right now I'm at something called the Independent Evening in Santa Monica, where a bunch of developers are showing off their games that will be at E3, and we wanted to give them a little bit of attention too. Right now I'm here with Riley, and you guys have this game called Astroneer. Tell us a bit about what the concept is for this game.
Sure, yeah. Astroneer is a space exploration game that has survival mechanics, some crafting mechanics, and some sandbox mechanics all mixed into one. And you play as an Astroneer, which is our version of astronaut that has traveled out to basically the far, far reaches of space where it's kind of undiscovered country where you're basically trying to find rare resources and rare artifacts that you can craft into bigger and better, more powerful tools. Everything's procedurally generated in the world, and everything's deformable. So if I wanted to dig to the center of the planet, I could. If I wanted to roam around from one pole of the planet all the way to another, back to the planet, everything's spherical. So,
how long does that take to go around a planet?
Well, it depends on the planet size, but it could take hours.
Oh, wow.
And so it becomes a mission almost where you have to have enough resources to survive that long, or build up a rover that has enough fuel cells or energy that can
just like The Martian, the quest to get off the planet.
Exactly.
Right? All right, I'm here with Greg from Double Fine to talk about Headlander, which is coming out this summer. You guys are an independent developer up in San Francisco, have done so many incredible games. How do you guys come up with an idea for a game like this at Double Fine? Because everything you do is sort of completely different and creative. I mean, where does the vision for this come from? Does Lee just pitch a game idea?
Yeah, I mean, it's super creative driven, so I feel like anyone who has an idea, if it's an idea we like, we run with it, and Lee's one who's been proven to have interesting ideas, and this was just something he came up with on his own and pitched to us, and right away we knew it was something special we want to work